Oh, we're here.
Naughty. Yes,
You're
we
welcome.
are.
Time for What's Up and About, and What's Up and About in Lagos specifically. Let's let you know there's a current situation. It's a claim by a couple of people. This hit social media only just recently, and people have been talking about it. So apparently it is unsafe to drive anywhere in Lagos and park your car, leave it there thinking that it's safe, go into a business, perhaps maybe conduct your business and come out. Because by the time you come out, your tires might have been clamped. Not just by anybody, but they claim that it is by the Lagos state government. Now, here's the thing. They say that this is because these businesses have not paid certain dues that are, around the whole parking situation and everything. Now, is it my fault as a customer of the business? If there's parking available and I park there, why inconvenience the customer instead of take it out on the businesses? So it's very weird. I've seen one instance, actually, especially in Ikeja, it's been happening rampantly. So the question is, what gives? Why so insensitive? Is it insensitive? Are there alternatives? What do we do as individuals, citizens, Lagosians, not go out anymore? If I don't, what transport system would I be using, especially in the inner roads of Lagos? I'm talking to But have you experienced anything the sort? I have, actually. In Festac one time, I got my tires lessened because I parked in a parking spot. And I'm like, but this is what was provided, and I'm parked here, so why did this have to happen to me? I rode the thing with 4 flat tires, I beg.
Yeah, so my mind actually naturally will go to the UK, right? Where, I mean, things like, okay, it's better to use the public transport system and all of that than own a car, because literally you're paying parking everywhere you go. So now, I think for me, what comes to mind, which I'm not clear on, is whose responsibility is it to pay the parking? Do you understand? Fine. Business, yes. If there is an allotted parking space for that business, it's different. If you now park inside, they now clamp it because the person hadn't paid, right? But if it's like by the street or by the road, an allotted parking space, now who pays for it? Is it the business owner?
You mentioned the UK?
Yes,
They've got parking meters.
You have,
so if it's along the street, you actually have to, depending on how long you spend there, you have to pay.
Exactly. Just like also going to malls. We go to malls and you actually have to pay on your way out. So that's what, so now who's responsibility is it to pay?
We actually have parking meters in Nigeria, except that they are now obsolete. So many people see them. Yes, if you go to some parking lots, you see parking meters, but because we've probably not used them in like, what, 40 years. People don't even know what they are.
40 years? It's been around that long.
People don't know what they are.
It's
there are some places... whatever. But really, we had parking lots. We had parking meters, but the Nigerians, being Nigerians, respect it. Guy, if you even see it, it's when you look at it, you actually realize that this is actually a parking meter. And you never even thought of it as that. That's one. Two, you see this issue of who is paying what? The thing is, as a car owner, you cannot even blame the business owner. You know why? Nigerian business owners are smart. Even when you go to a bank, haven't you noticed? Cars parked at owner's risk. Exactly. Meaning if anything happens, now your problem.
Exactly.
The disclaimer has always been there. The prayer, and I'm saying this as a Nigerian, is not to get caught when the wahala starts.
If you really look at it, I mean, you are the one who drove the car.
Yeah.
There. You can decide to take a bus.
There's a parking spot in front of the business.
Yes, but whose car is being parked?
It's like the parking spot is no different from a door. You use the door to get into the building. You park your car at the parking spot to, I mean, for convenience. You don't go through the window. You don't park on the street. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
So when you have a business, the reality is it is believed that part of what you're demanding as service charge, part of your charges, is already the cost of parking.
Exactly.
Because you are expected, the government expects you to pay those fees. Let's be real. You are actually supposed to pay certain fees for parking.
So if I pay that when I'm paying for whatever
So when
service.
you go to a business premise, you want to transact, those charges are supposed to have been part of what you're paying.
Yes.
So most businesses think, why are we charging this amount? It's so that we can clean out, we can cash out. They forget that some of these things, the reason government demands you to add certain things is to pay for it. So now you as a business owner, you don't. Then you play a fast one by putting disclaimer that the car is parked at the owner's risk. At the end of the day, you end up losing customers.
If I was to sue, who am I suing?
You
Government
will sue
or the business?
So you will sue the government copying the business owner.
Yeah.
Is it an email address?
So that, if the government is able to exonerate itself, the business owner is also going to exonerate itself.
Okay, so
you know why? Because you already put disclaimer.
Let's
So
talk
it's
about-
complicated.
So let's talk about awareness. Where we have this culture of where, okay, so starting next week, we're going to be clamping down on vehicles that are illegally parked. Boom, Monday comes, bam, they clamp Mary's car. Mary did not know anything about it. So how about educating citizens about the fact that this is going to happen and this is why it's happening, because we're trying to perhaps maybe create order in the state. If you can't park here, use public transport, which brings another subject. Which public transport? If it's the big buses that are provided by the government, they don't get into
There's yellow bus.
Adilola Street in
There's yellow bus.
There's
those
keke.
tiny little risky things. Enter, your phone gets missing.
Don't be dramatic.
they've
It's not that bad.
crazy.
If not, I won't have a phone anymore. What are you talking
It's
about?
crazy.
Let's go back to the... See, this thing you said about the government informing. Unfortunately, again, this is me. I'm just trying to be like neutral
work
on this
for the
one.
government.
I do not. But unfortunately, again, the government through lawyers has made it clear that ignorance of the law
Does not
does not count. It's not an excuse.
not an
So
excuse.
if you come out and say, oh, I didn't know, in most cases, you're told that what is our business? The law has stated it. Why don't you know the law? Do you understand? So at the end of the day, the whole thing is just all over the place. And it's unfortunate that the customer is the one that is going to keep bearing the brunt until clarification is made. You go to some businesses, they'll tell you to pay 200 naira for parking or 500 naira for parking.
Which I will gladly
But are they remitting it to the government? In most cases, no. These are part of the problems.
It would seem that most of these businesses that actually have paid parking already have an understanding or a...
And they probably
it's a
pay the
structure.
government too.
They pay the government.
Yes.
There's some well-known names that
Yes.
actually have these tolls and also parking, what's it called? So right now, my distrust, and it's a very big one because I frequent plenty of places all the time, is that I'm not sure anymore how safe my car is. It affects me mentally. It affects my convenience. It's going to affect my business.
You are in the
My
parking lot.
business
You are
will
like,
affect- my business will affect...
bro, sorry, I'll bring my thing, though.
It will affect
Don't go carry
the
my car.
government's income as well, because from my business, you get paid as well. So if
Exactly.
I'm not going out to transact business, then that means the government's not taxing anything. So
And that's where online businesses come into play. But for those just tuning in or those who are wondering, what are we talking about? Mazino is really passionate about this. So I'm not very sure if he was able to establish this. Maybe you should tell us exactly
I think
what
I
it
did
is
in the
again.
beginning, actually.
Yeah.
I told about the fact that there's a new trend going on where cars are getting clamped in parking lots, not because of any fault of the car owners, but according to the stories and what is being told, it's fault of the business owners who perhaps have remits to make to the government and
And
not
haven't,
paid
yes.
these. So that's the situation, and it's worrying a lot of Lagosians. There's so much that we're suffering right now. Third Milan Bridge is there, which, by the way, they say temporary relief. Temporary. I don't know how long temporary is, but the fact is, the Third Milan Bridge situation, you can't solve it in a weekend. It's going to open up again. We're hoping that it won't, but you know, so transportation in any government, in any situation, in any country is the biggest thing, because that's how you move goods or services. When goods or services are not being, when there's no transaction on those, you can't do anything. The government loses, is my point. Winfrey, you had a car instance at the time. You paid, no, you didn't pay. No, you didn't. Let's not talk about this.
What happened?
For me-
I don't know. I want to know.
What
It's
happened
a
where?
policeman
Nothing
raw.
happened. Nothing happened. I think for me, it's just still the clarity. And based on what you said, Mary, yes, ignorance of the law is not. But the truth is, most of these business owners, now, I think when Mazino is, the places Mazino goes to, they're very uptight and people want to
You
and
wish.
things like that. But then again, the people that need, the majority of the people that own and run businesses in Nigeria, what is their educational level? What is their accessibility to these laws and all of that? So as much as you say that, even the people clamping the tires don't understand why they're clamping tires.
No.
We need to also get to that point.
The people clamping the tire, not clamping the tire for the government at the end of the
That's what
day.
I'm saying. So
I
that's
clamp
what,
tire
in
for
the
their
end,
pocket.
that's what I'm saying. And
Last.
even they themselves,
Allegedly.
even they themselves cannot actually tell you why. Or if you ask them now, they explain, and that's why they're always defensive. That's how I see it. So whenever they're coming to you, it's an offense. All they know is that it's an offense. They don't know why. They don't understand. So I feel, I mean, education, enlightenment, and all of that goes from the top all the way to the bottom.
While I'm driving my car home all the time, when I'm dressed business-like, I get stopped by guys in mufti with flimsy ID cards asking me for a permit that permits me to drive my company car. And I'm like, first off, it's not branded. So this is not an advertising thing. How do you even know that it's a company car? Guess what this guy tells me? Because you're dressed in a tie. And I laugh.
So you see what I'm saying?
So I can't own a car.
I can't own a car.
And wear
it has to be given to me by the government, by the company I'm working for. Look, I will still maintain. The unfortunate part of this is the law is not being obeyed as it ought to be. Because really, the business owners ought to take responsibility. The government, as Winfrey said, also needs to communicate, let people be aware of this thing. However, we as a people should also be aware of certain things, ask questions. When you see car parked at owner's risk, please always note that you are actually at risk.
I would like to
So let's also keep that in mind.
I would like to say this, right? Communication goes a long way. And in recent times, I've actually been faced with situations a lot. It shows that Nigerians, to a very large extent, we have a communication problem. From the top up to the bottom. So from laws to even individual one-on-one communication, it's tough. It's very, very tough.
So and of course,
once there is a problem with communication, there's already a major problem.
No matter how much of education we get, like in family planning, people will still claim they don't know enough. But let's take this break.
How did we get there?
You're watching Wake Up Nigeria. We'll be back in a bit.